We are dealing with a wave of litigation and the sad story that is Paddy McCartin's time at the Sydney Swans, his 10th concussion from the weekend just gone. It's the story now that is going to take some weeks to have a resolution for Paddy himself, whether he plays again.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of people who are using this as a platform to have their voice heard regarding concussion, and I think the most important people that should be speaking, and we should be patient, is Paddy McCartin, his family and the people who are closest to him, who have the entire history of his concussions in front of him, and make a measured decision. And look, if it's taken out of his hands, I'm sure the advice from his family and the people who love and care for him will be the advice that he'll take on board the most.
But Damo's spoken about it, and I think he understands the AFL landscape, in that Damo's view is that they will have a say, Jim.
I agree. They have to have a say, Jim. I mean, they are now being thrown into court cases that will tally and accumulate hundreds of millions of dollars.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with any of that, but I just find it difficult to read when people who have no history of his actual case, as far as a day-by-day or year-by-year situation, making enormous statements on what he should be doing. Look, if that is the result, well, the result should come from actually his family and the doctors who have been involved with him, and the Sydney Football Club and the AFL. That's where we end up. Let's just not get so far in front and rush to be the first one to go, he's retired.
No, I'm not buying that line, Jimmy. No one's rushing to retire.
You can find an article every single day in the paper about the next expert or the next opinion. Let's just be patient and see what actually happens in the next few weeks.
But I get offended when people are saying that the media's rushing to retire him.
I'm not saying the media. It's in the media because we're going to the next expert, because it is.
But it's his 10th concussion, Jimmy. He didn't play for 3.5 years because of it, as we know.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with the health and welfare of Pat McCartin. I'm just saying we can be a little bit patient regarding let's get the right people making the decision, and then the right decision will come out.
So you're saying that, you're saying no one should be saying he's got to retire right now.
Yeah,
But of your view, I understand. I love Damo's point in that I would never have thought that the AFL would get involved in this because of the legalities of it all.
Yeah, and I'm strong on the AFL being part of this Paddy McCartin decision. I get that people get offended by that, even that statement. You've been in this game a lot longer than all of us, and you know the people involved in it. What's your take on this one?
Well, Damo, I agree with sort of everything that everyone's saying there, bits and pieces. But you're 100% right in that at some stage the AFL have to issue a licence, I think, for players to be able to play. You know, going back in the day, Muhammad Ali wouldn't tap the mat either. And he went out with Parkinson's and fought Larry Holmes and nearly got killed in the ring. So what we have to be careful of is that we get the history of these players. I think what we need to do now is almost have a football passport that goes back in time. So we find out when players come through whether they have had concussions in the under-11s, the under-15s, etc., right up to the current day, so that the experts can make a detailed examination and then also a decision on where this is. Because I don't think any athlete, particularly for the money involved in football these days, the love of the game and their own pride, will ever tap the mat when it comes to this situation. So ultimately it may well take the AFL to issue a licence, and I think that that's where we're going with all this, not only the legalities but also what's going on behind the scenes with the rehabilitation and also the compensation of players.